Hi everyone, 22 April 2020 is the date. Again, my name is not important, Derek, but I'm just a self-proclaimed private investigator who is very good at analyzing the order of nature. Let me remind you of the things which I do during this imposed lockdown. I wake up daily at 6 and to switch on my TV, then tune on to DSTV 400 to 406 channels for breaking news and updates. I do this daily and was doing it the first day of the lockdown. And I will be doing this until the 30th of June 2020 when the novel coronavirus will be history, I guess. I microscopically take note on every detail which comes out of these channels and SAFM station 104.4 for reliable sources, since I don't follow any social media updates. My modular blankata, myself and I then start the analysis recapping after dinner. Right, this week's topic is about the plunging of the global economy amid the pandemic. The world made the greatest mistake by trying to man up against the invisible enemy, COVID-19, and not knowing that it isn't a health issue as it seems, it's an economic war. However, okay, let's do that. Let me just remind you, whoever created this virus wanted the world to focus on the wrong game, as I said before, strengthening the immune system and lose guard on the economy system. Everyone ran after the virus to a tight corner where it headed, and that's where the inventor wanted us to be. Please allow me to dish out what I have gathered and prepared for your digestion. Remember, I once said that the group of people who named this disease are the ones who invented it. One simply names something which one invented, as it is abbreviated COVID-19, meaning coronavirus invented disease of 2019. So this group of economists aims to destroy the foreign economy by radiating this zoonotic virus to reach every part of the world. These people know how to stop the spread of the disease. I don't want to mention any names, but I'm about to. This war scenario is about the fight for power between two powerful economic states and run-ups. Let me break it down a little bit. Just days earlier, the United States suspended funding to the WHO just because they claimed that the organization was Chinese biased. This was unnecessary, especially when the whole world is fighting against the pandemic. The US just wanted to show off their power when not necessary, putting the World Health Organization on a corner by sanctioning it for not dancing to their tune. Everyone knows that the US is wealthy. They are mightier in money than any other nation. So they then abuse this privilege by striking the unfortunate with sanctions, withdrawing funds meant for the needy organizations and countries like Iran, Zimbabwe, etc. You name them. You know, when you push anyone or any nation to a do-or-die corner, you might end up being struck by a heart attack when the ones who you intend to punish survive the attack by any means possible. A very good example of this theory, we observed the WHO reaching out to individuals and groups appealing for financial support. And artists led by Lady Gaga chipped in and raised about, let's say, about 150 million US dollars. And also individuals raised about 200 million US dollars from individuals funded this WHO. Now the organization is back on its feet despite the suspension of funds by the US. On the other hand, the sanctioned Iran has fired the first successful military satellite into the orbit without hesitating on how the US will react. The US couldn't impose sanctions on the Chinese economy, on the Chinese nation rather, because the Chinese are independent, and the Chinese they have got also a strong economy, which make them the U.S. economic rival. The Chinese doesn't rely on U.S. support funds. Their economy is strong, and it's a threat to the U.S. The U.S. has the ability to control multiple nations by controlling them through economic support. And if you go separate ways with the U.S., you'll be sanctioned. Most nations which are not under U.S. sanctions are U.S. puppets. So for the craving of wanting to control the Asian nation, in an underground manner. The US banned the Chinese Huawei 5G network to operate in its state. They went as far as advising European countries not to welcome this technology in their respective countries. The US gained allies on this move, like Italy and South Korea, etc. And for in so doing, this move bothered the Chinese nation, and they retaliated, engaging into this trade war by radiating this zoonotic virus to Europe and America. To support this point, let me just say, that's why you see a higher higher numbers of infections have been observed in the United States, Italy, and South Korea. China was once the epicenter of the pandemic, but now the US has overtook the position to be the world's epicenter of coronavirus. Word of advice, don't be fooled by their invisible war and think that the US doesn't know about this, or that the Chinese doesn't know that the US knows. They both have knowledge of their trade war, which they cause. They just cause it to have impact on everyone, and they chose their battlefield to be underwater, so they would use their invisible submarines firing missiles against each other down there. It's only that the US doesn't have enough evidence to judicially attack the Chinese government. That's why you see now the US is suing China for misconduct of this novel. And at the other hand, we all observed the Chinese government recently increased the total number of COVID-19 fatalities up to about 5,000. They knew that if their total death toll remains below 3,500 as it was, it would raise suspicions, and they could be found guilty for causing the outbreak. It didn't make any sense for a country of virus origin to have that low fatalities since the outbreak began. Yet they claim that they were not covering up by adding some ghost fatalities to their fatality index. And now the US has landed where the Chinese wanted them to land. Not quite precisely, but almost. The Chinese are feeling a breeze of victory after the world news headlines read, "The US oil industry crashed." This was good news to the Chinese. They gave the US a blow on the unguarded ribs. They will just cross fingers expecting two or more US trade industry to fall again, and they would have won the battle. The American currency will weaken, and in order to stabilize their currency, the US would likely to refocus on their internal affairs. They will most likely cancel all the international interference and implement measures like withdrawing troops from the Middle East, like the Middle East countries where they claim to be peacemaking, lifting sanctions on multiple nations, withdrawing funding to non-essential organizations, pulling out their nose from Israel and Palestine affairs. They will cancel all these international interferences simply because they wouldn't be affording it anymore. All these stupid interferences like recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. On which grounds the US did this, and on which power invested in them to mediate over every nation's dispute. So in short, they've got all these overriding powers because they have money and magnificently strong economy. Hear me out. Since the American economy starts stumbling, the Chinese are most likely to stop the water-radiated virus because their mission will be accomplished. So I call this a World War III. As we all know that every war has casualties. All the infections and fatalities all over the world are just casualties of war. As the Chinese achieve their goal, we might most likely observe the deterioration on the number of global infections, and the number of patients having been discharged from hospital might rise. I guess by the end of 2020, the novel coronavirus COVID-19 will be history, since the radiation will have been stopped and unplugged. Last but not least, although we are casualties of the Chinese-American trade war, there might be a bright light at the end of the tunnel for everyone. This will be freedom of trade for every nation, thus strengthening every nation's economy, simply because the suppressor will be broke. I don't agree on most things with Trump, but for calling COVID-19 a Chinese virus, I agree with him. And to balance the equation, I also don't agree with the Chinese on many things. But for signing the recognition of dogs as pets into law, I surely agree with them. Dogs are not livestock, guys. What were you thinking? That's why you got infected by zoonotic viruses cause amunzwe. Please note, these are just my thoughts and point of views. What's up? Yeah, they're just point of views. This is also the last time I will talk about coronavirus on screen, because I'm deeply saddened by 2.5 million global casualties and 180,000 global deaths. I hereby appeal for a ceasefire between these economists. And I also, in memory of this tragic pandemic, I will write a book about the disease and its effect, since I am an author who goes by aka Genius wekwaSvosve. I thank you.